In 1967, Ruth Buzzi made an appearance on Laugh-In in what seemed like just another comedy sketch. However, shortly afterward, she made a statement that would ultimately ruin her career. Sponsors pulled their funding, the FBI began monitoring her, and the show's creators received a menacing phone call that changed everything. Now, as the truth about one of television's most controversial moments resurfaces, it turns out to be even more shocking than anyone imagined. Comedy variety shows were immensely popular in 1967. These programs typically followed a predictable rhythm, making it easy to anticipate how skits and jokes would unfold. But George Schlatter and Ed Friendly had a different vision. They aimed to create a show that captured the untamed energy of the outside world, something that felt alive and unpredictable. Inspired by counterculture movements like Love INS and BINS, they developed Laugh-In, a groundbreaking comedy show that broke every conventional rule of television. According to Schlatter, the show was meant to be an all-out sensory assault. There were no pauses for the audience to catch their breath or build anticipation for jokes. Instead, one gag was followed immediately by another. Each episode featured over 350 short segments, incorporating everything from surreal humor and satire to slapstick comedy. No skit lasted too long, and the pacing remained relentless. One moment, a comedian would deliver a sharp political comment, the next, someone might be dancing across the screen in an absurd outfit. The show drew its inspiration from many sources. It had elements of burlesque and vaudeville, influenced by Ernie Kovac's experimental comedic style. It was unpredictable, but it was largely shaped by British humor. The success of that was the week that was proved that politics and social issues could be tackled on television. Schlatter and Friendly took this idea even further, blending clever social critique with outright silliness. Laugh-In never felt preachy or formulaic. The show's format also stood out. British comedy often featured sudden transitions, but Laugh-In took this concept to a whole new level. Skits had no clear beginning or ending, and jokes often landed unexpectedly before abruptly shifting to another scene. The goal wasn't simply to disorient the audience, it was to reflect the chaotic nature of modern life, where everything happens at once. For some viewers, this relentless pace was overwhelming. Others couldn't get enough. Bringing the show to television wasn't an easy task. When Schlatter and Friendly pitched it to network executives, they were met with uncertainty. The unconventional structure felt risky, and the rapid pacing seemed excessive. Eventually, NBC agreed to air a single test episode on September 9, 1967. Since it was just an experiment, they had low expectations for its success. However, audience reactions were immediate and overwhelmingly positive. People couldn't stop talking about it. Within months, NBC quickly ordered a full season. That first episode laid the groundwork for what would follow. The show's leading duo, Dan Rowan and Dick Martin, played off each other brilliantly, creating a dynamic that became central to the show's success. When Flip Wilson and Barbara Feldon joined the cast, things became even more exciting. The unique style of Laugh-In became evident in recurring segments like the cocktail party and Mod World. One of its most iconic elements was the joke war, where comedians would pop out of tiny openings to deliver quick one-liners. Another popular segment, News of the Future, made bizarre predictions, some of which, like Ronald Reagan becoming president, actually came true. Initially, NBC expected Laugh-In to simply fill a programming slot and compete with established shows like Gunsmoke. However, by the end of its second season, it had become the most-watched show on television. It appealed to everyone, kids and adults alike. Some viewers appreciated its sharp political commentary, while others enjoyed its sheer silliness. There was something for everyone. Rowan and Martin's chemistry played a big part in its appeal. While they seemed to be at odds, that contrast made their partnership work. They had refined their comedic routine in bars, developing a style that focused on their distinct personalities. Martin played the clueless goofball, always out of the loop, while Rowan was the smooth-talking, in-control straight man. Their comedic balance translated perfectly to television when Laugh-In officially premiered on January 22, 1968. It was unlike anything audiences had ever seen before. Chaotic, fast-paced, and packed with absurd jokes and one-liners, Laugh-In quickly became a cultural phenomenon. By the 9th episode, it had become the highest-rated show in America. Even amidst the show's whirlwind energy, Rowan and Martin provided a structured comedic rhythm. Their banter kept things grounded. Martin would say something ridiculous, Rowan would laugh, and the audience would eat it up. The show's endings became legendary, with Rowan telling Martin, "Say good night, Dick," to which Martin would respond, "Good night, Dick." These sign-offs became some of the most iconic phrases in television history. But they were more than just hosts. Martin portrayed Leonard Swizzle, a perpetually tipsy partygoer who never quite got drunk enough to do anything foolish, while Rowan played the flamboyant General Boot. Because the show moved so quickly, there was never time to prepare for the next gag. Another joke was always right around the corner. If you missed one, it was gone. This kind of wild, unpredictable energy had never been seen before on TV. Without Laugh-In, shows like Saturday Night Live might never have existed. When Laugh-In first aired, many of its future stars were still unknown. One of the biggest breakout performers was Goldie Hawn. She made her debut in 1968 as a bubbly blonde who found everything hilarious, and it was clear she wasn't faking it. To keep her reactions natural, producer George Schlatter encouraged her not to rehearse. Her infectious laugh became so popular that it quickly made her a star. Just 2 years later, she won an Oscar for Cactus Flower and became one of Hollywood's biggest names. Lily Tomlin joined the cast in 1969 and immediately made her mark. She didn't just act, she created unforgettable characters. One of her most beloved roles was Ernestine, a loudmouthed telephone operator who tormented everyone who answered her calls. Her signature catchphrase, "Is this the party to whom I am speaking?" became instantly recognizable. She also played Edith Ann, a precocious 5-year-old who sat in a giant rocking chair, delivering long-winded monologues that always ended with, "And that's the truth." Tomlin's ability to craft memorable personas made her one of Laugh-In's biggest stars. Though the show was loud and chaotic, Henry Gibson stood out by keeping things simple. He would hold up a large flower and solemnly declare, "A poem by Henry Gibson," before reciting a short, deadpan poem that was either hilariously absurd or a sharp commentary on current events. His calm demeanor provided a striking contrast to the show's wild energy. Tomlin went on to become one of Hollywood's most beloved comedians, starring in films like 9 to 5. Beyond her success on Laugh-In, she used her fame to raise awareness about environmental issues, writing poems and essays on the topic long before it became a mainstream cause. Another unforgettable cast member was Joanne Worley. With her powerful voice, outlandish outfits, and over-the-top delivery, she turned every joke into a performance. She often exaggerated her speech with dramatic pauses or sang her punchlines in an operatic style. One of her most famous recurring gags involved absurd jokes about chickens, which became so iconic they became part of her public persona. Ruth Buzzi and Arden Johnson played a significant role in shaping some of Laugh-In's most memorable moments. One of Johnson's standout characters was Wolfgang, a German soldier who would unexpectedly appear from behind a bush and say, "Very interesting, but foolish." Another popular character he portrayed was Tyrone F., whose signature catchphrase became one of the show's most recognizable lines. Additionally, Johnson played F. Carton, a peculiar elderly man who spent every episode unsuccessfully attempting to woo Gladys Ormphby, portrayed by Ruth Buzzi. Gladys, always cranky and plainly dressed, never welcomed his advances and was quick to retaliate by swinging her purse at him whenever he got too close. Though the humor was simple, it remained consistently entertaining. Buzzi's performance on the show earned her 5 Emmy nominations and a Golden Globe, solidifying her status as one of Laugh-In's biggest stars. A defining feature of Laugh-In was its unpredictability regarding guest appearances. At one point, John Wayne surprised audiences by showing up in a bunny costume, while Sammy Davis Jr. brought his signature charm to the sketches. However, the most shocking guest was Richard Nixon, who did something no one had anticipated. He tried to be funny on national television. Known for his deep, commanding voice, Wells participated in the comedic skits as well, but Nixon's appearance was the real surprise. In 1968, the Republican presidential candidate looked straight into the camera and delivered the phrase, "Sock it to me." That year, the country was experiencing severe turmoil, and Nixon's slow, uneasy delivery lasted an awkward 6 seconds.